Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today, the poem we are going to talk about is Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Apparently, it's a short poem containing only 9 lines, but it is replete with a deep message. Fire and Ice was written in 1920 and was published in a collection of poems by Frost called New Hampshire. This was the period just after the First World War, and all the sensitive souls were feeling shaken by the volume of violence experienced during the war. They were left appalled by the realization of the fact how man himself could be instrumental in his own destruction. This was the time of a new awakening towards the darker side of human nature. Frost once again finds parallels of human world in the domain of nature. Two natural phenomena, fire and ice, represent the extreme of two human passions. Let's see how Frost builds up his thought in the poem. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. In these lines, Frost presents his views about the possible ways in which this world may end. The first thing that strikes us is the detached mood of the poet, made explicit by the use of an anaphoric phrase, some say, that occurs at the beginning of each notion. As a critic has put it, it is as if a scientist is weighing possible ends of the world, clinically viewing the scene before pronouncing his decision. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. The poet says that from his own experience of desire, he is led to believe that intensity of desire carried to an extreme can manifest itself in violent forms, leading to disastrous results. The poet says that he vehemently agrees with people who think that fire or intensity of desire will be the cause of the end of the world. Line number 5. But if it had to perish twice. This is an important line. As we know that the world cannot perish twice, it has to perish only once. So the use of the word if is important if this line has to make any sense to the reader. We feel that Frost has an other possibility of the end of the world in his mind, and that possibility holds equal claim. Hence, Frost has come up with the idea of the world perishing twice. I think I know of hate to say for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. Here he talks about the extreme of the other passion, hate, for which he has chosen the metaphor of ice. He is confident that he knows enough of hatred, and he is sure that it has the capacity to destroy the world. He also expresses his conviction that there is enough ice in the world sufficient to destroy the world thoroughly. At first glance, the poem reads like the report of a scientist in which he has weighed all evidence for and against the subject in hand. The poem ends with a note of chill politeness, and the reader is once again reminded of the detached manner of the opening lines. This poem, Fire and Ice, is an astoundingly short lyric of 9 lines only, but these 9 lines are loaded with tons of meaning. The poem brings home to us the paradox of human existence. This paradox, inherent in the poem, is symbolized by the title of the poem, Fire and Ice. The poet feels that the world will one day be consumed by excess of fire. But the poet also thinks that if the world were to end twice, even ice could destroy the world, and there was sufficient ice for this. If interpreted at a symbolic level, we could say that fire stands for extreme intensity of warm, loving emotions, while ice stands for utter negation or lack of feelings, or it could be hate outright. At the crux of the poem lies the idea that extreme forms of either hate or love are equally disastrous and possess the power to destroy the world within the wink of an eye. The last line of the poem makes us feel that the poet does not question either the existence or the potency of these powers. He is conscious of the ruinous capacities of these true powers and is perhaps an intuitive, silent, but hopelessly helpless spectator of the world heading towards its end in one of the two ways. What can be more piteous and ironic than one seeing one's own self and one's fellows being heading forward, fellow beings heading forward towards inevitable destruction? There is no choice between life and death. There is only a choice in the method of death. A mood of helpless gloom pervades the poem. There is a realistic pessimism by which the poem is governed. It seems that Frost sees the bitter reality of the world with a rare detachment as though he were not a part of this world. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.